So, this week I discovered where the bad rainbows go. They go to Prism, but it's a light sentence.
So, Bono in The Edge walk into a bar, and the barman says, "Oh, not you two again."
Oh, nice. Yeah. My friend died in hospital the other day because we couldn't remember his blood type. As he died, he kept saying, "Be positive," but it's hard to be without him. Anyway, hello everyone, and welcome to the Black Dog version 2, episode 71. I'm Lee.
I'm Darren.
I'm Jim.
I'm Elton.
And this week we will be seeing how everyone's week's been. Please put down your food when it comes to my part. And then we will be getting a little bit of feedback on last week's episode. And then finally we'll be moving on to this week's movie, which is, Elton?
The Vast of Night.
The Vast of Night, indeed. A movie picked off of Amazon. And we'll be seeing how that's going. And what everyone thought about it. We already had some feedback in on Twitter. Not sure if I should read it out, but we'll get that there. We'll get that in next week. Because yeah, well, it's one of those things. If you put it up front before we get to our thoughts, you might be sort of jumping the gun a little.
Yeah.
So anyway, before we get to that, let's find out how everyone's week's been, and we will start with you, Elton. How's it been, sir?
Oh, a tale of two stories, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
First off, I have finished my dog step. I was creating a little doggy step for my dog to get up on the sofa now that he's injured both of his legs.
Right.
And do you know what? It's come out so much better than what I thought it would.
Right.
I've been videoing it, so I will put the video together and put it online at some point. But man alive, halfway through, I thought I was going to scrap it and get rid of it. But I'm really happy with it.
Nice.
So, I will post the pictures very soon.
Nice.
And it's definitely not a tiny little coffee table. No, sir. No, siree. Will never, ever be used for that ever whatsoever.
Is it a coffee table for small people?
It's not a coffee. It's not a coffee table. Definitely not a coffee table. That
is it repurposed old telly?
Is it a tiny stool?
Definitely not. It is for the dog, who will never ever use it. He will never use it whatsoever. I put some treats down for him to try and coax him into. Oh, there's a step I can get up and get the treats. So I put the treats on the sofa. And the stool right in front of the treats. And the only way for him to get up onto the sofa was go onto this stool. And he walked around the stool and tried to reach the treats, and then went round the other side and tried to reach the tweet. Oh, I got it. Can't even say that sentence.
Tweets.
Reachy tweets.
Tweety tweets.
And he didn't grasp it. Okay. Fine, fuck you. I picked him up,
He
put him
wouldn't
on the
grasp
stool.
it, would he? He's got paws.
Picked him up, put him on the stool, and he hopped up. So I thought, oh, okay, we're halfway there. He kind of gets it, but he doesn't know how to get. He doesn't know how to get onto the stool to then get onto the sofa. So it's that old adage of trying to teach an old dog new tricks.
Yeah. And, because you're halfway there, whoa, it was a doggy on a chair. Nice.
Now, what I thought you were going to say was he didn't actually climb it, but he did pick up the stool and throw it at you to get your attention, to give him the treats.
Oi, give me the fucking treats. Stop making woodwork and give me the fucking food.
How about you?
Yeah. Anyway.
And on the more depressing side of things, just watching the fuckwits trying to get diesel and petrol, and I know I'm going to be hit with this tomorrow. I know it because I luckily I ran out on Friday. My van was on the blinky light, and so I filled up, and there was no one queuing in the petrol stations whatsoever. So I pulled up. There was no diesel, but there was that Supreme diesel. So I had to use that, and then I have to send an email to say, look, I've used this because you're going to get a whacking bill because they don't.
And it was all that was left. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all that was left. And my boss turned around and went, really? Why? What's going on? So you have to explain it because he doesn't keep up to date with the news.
Doesn't look out the fucking window.
Doesn't look out the window, no. And I've been driving around, and luckily enough, I got home, I had a full tank and didn't move the van all weekend, and then went up to Norwich on Monday, and that used up half a tank. So
Yikes.
I cut it straight away. I was like, oh, bollocks. Today, luckily enough, I only went up to Cambridge and around that sort of area, Bedford as well. And I think I'm now on a quarter of a tank, and I have to go up to Great Yarmouth, which is further than Norwich. So
You
I
might
want to break down in Great Yarmouth.
I don't even think I'll make it there, honestly. But no, I don't want to be left
It's outside the dangerous bit. That's where the real crazies are. Hiding behind the windmills.
Yeah, I don't want to go. I don't want to go there. It's a great excuse not to go there, but I think I'm going to spend a large portion of tomorrow morning driving around, sitting in queues.
But didn't you see the news? Boris says you have to just go about your business. It's all fine.
Well,
Yeah, he has. He's fucked off. We've not seen him for days.
Yeah, I know. You know, he appeared on the news today to say, "Don't worry about it. It's all fine. This is all sorted now."
Wasn't he in America?
Yeah, and then his plane ran out of fuel.
Oh well, there are bright sides of things, then, aren't there?
If only it could have done that over the Atlantic Ocean.
Well, yeah, if you want a few days off at the end of this week, you've got no petrol. Job's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, there you go.
That's your phone in sick excuse for the week.
Yep.
Couldn't come in. No fuel.
It ran out just at the top of my road. What are the chances?
Yeah. If you were to look up my phone right now, and you'd see it was in my house, but you know that actually it's on my drive.
Yeah.
Because I can't move the car. I'm actually calling you from the drive.
Yes.
Nice.
So yeah, I've got that to contend with tomorrow. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Nice, just what you need.
Oh, they're like swarms of locusts. Something
Yeah.
pops up, they're like zoom.
Yeah, there are whole
Everyone's there.
Facebook groups dedicated to this sort of thing there. As soon as somebody spots a truck, they put it up and then they're gone within a few hours.
I fucking hate the world at the moment. I really do.
So do I.
I'm really struggling with things at the moment, and this is not helping anything. It's so. What happened? Where did we go wrong? I know we peaked in the 90s, but fucking hell.
Well, the thing is, it's easier to get a PlayStation 5 now than it is to get a tank of fuel.
Is it?
In fact, aren't they giving away PlayStation 5s if you manage to get a tank of fuel?
Yeah, if you fill up, instead of getting glass tumblers, you get a PS5 plus a copy of Miles Morales. Yeah,
we got fucking tons of those.
I don't know what happened to the world. I think we just got older and realised just how shit it's been because we're grown ups. We have to live in it.
What was it Douglas Adams said in The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? I think the mistake we made was coming down from the trees in the first place.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
On the first day the universe was created, which was generally seen as a bad idea and made a lot of people angry.
I'm gonna have to listen to that tomorrow now.
Yeah. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Yeah.
I don't know. It might be a bit painful because there's a lot of truth in that book about the human race, especially now. You know, he did it in jest, but no, it's true.
Yeah, people are fucking morons,
aren't they?
Anywho, on that cheerful note, is that it, sir? Are you...
Yeah, that is it. Yes.
Right. Okay. Then, in which case, we shall move on to Mr. Jim. How has your week been, sir?
A bit fraught, all in all.
Oh,
With
blimey.
leaky boilers and...
Yeah. Is that still going on then from last week?
No, they did get fixed. But it was a long couple of days and much worrying. And me signing a check and not trying to look at how much it was.
Oh, right.
Basically, like,
Yeah.
bloody hell.
Yeah, never look
But
at the bill.
it's all repaired. It's all repaired now. So it's under guarantee. So I've got the fuckers by the balls.
Nice.
Back under guarantee. Yes.
Yeah, that's all you need.
Worth it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that saga now is coming to an end, thankfully.
The Jim House saga.
I might just stay in for the rest of the year. Increasingly looking like a brilliant idea.
Yeah, how was your week, Jim? I sat on the sofa. Right, thanks, Jim. Let's move on to Darren.
I did discover a little radio series.
Oh, yes.
It was billed as comedy horror.
Mm.
And it's called The Sink.
The Sink.
Written by Natasha Hodgson, who's another radio comedy series which I've not heard. And it stars Alice Lowe.
All right.
And if you think comedy horror, you may think of something like The League of Gentlemen or What We Do in the Shadows. No. More think Chris Morris's Blue Jam.
Oh, blimey, okay.
It's called The Sink, a Sleep Aid. So, get it on the BBC Sounds.
Yeah.
And basically, it's like from like 10 minutes into the future.
Yeah.
And it's like this like relaxation program that helps people confront their nightmares so they can sleep better.
Oh, my God.
And it's genuinely dreamlike. And some of it is funny, but I think. And at first, it obviously kind of just like sketches, but it's not it all actually interlocked. It does tell a story that unfolds over the course of the series. I'm going to have to listen to it again, having got to the end, because I'm sure there's tons of bits I missed. But there's, it's really, really good, really clever stuff. And though might be stretching it, calling it comedy.
Yeah,
it is funny, but at the same time, a lot of it end up going. Ooh.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm just
genuinely weird.
I'm just looking at the cover art for it right now on the BBC Sound site, and it's like, yeah, okay, yeah. I think we're stretching the comedy thing here, the term comedy.
But it is genuinely like proper. It does capture like the illogic of dreams, the way a situation will start about someone complaining about a hotel room, and just without you noticing. You suddenly become aware the nature of the complaint is there's too many scarecrows surrounding the hotel and getting nearer.
Nice.
So do check that out, but don't take it at face value. Don't try and use it as a genuine sleep aid because you won't.
No, I'm looking at that because I use sleep aids to try and get to sleep because I don't really sleep that well. So I do go to bed with headphones on. I was thinking, oh, that sounds quite. Oh no, looking at the post. No, that's not a good idea. Yeah, just the cover art is enough to make me think. Well, that's maybe not the greatest idea. Cool.
Yes, that's quite a high recommend from me. That's one of the genuinely, I think, very sort of groundbreaking, very groundbreaking series. Not like nothing else. Is Blue Jam's the closest reference, but I think it's a bit. It's very much its own thing. So check that out. You know, October's coming. If you want some sleepless nights, that'll do you nicely.
Yes, it is. It certainly is coming because we got the indeterminate weeks of horror on the way. where half of our listeners log off for a month, and the other half log on and get some friends along. Cool. Anything else, sir?
No, I'll leave that there, I think.
Okie dokie, right, okay.
I think release that into the wild to
claim
some more victims. I mean, listeners.
I was going to say, looking at it, I'm both curious and also kind of wary. That poster art really is bothersome. It's really bothering me. I'm going to have to look away from that now. Okay, then. Right, well, then we'll move on to you then, Dal. How's it with you, sir?
Oh, just bloody quiet this week.
Yeah.
Nothing really going on. No.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Working and stuff, and let's see, what have I done? Have I done anything at all?
It's okay. You're allowed to have not done something. It's not a requirement. Otherwise, you get booted off the cast.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay, that's fine then. That's good. Leave. What?
Yeah. Now get the fuck out. Now fuck off.
No, I finished. Was it Rick and Morty season 4?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think that show is now totally, it's locked itself in to me now. That show, I'm quoting it and mentioning it at random times when I see something that it's like I saw something like that on Rick and Morty.
Yes. Oh, you son of a bitch! I'm in.
Yeah, so I really love that show. It's great.
It is great.
Yeah.
It's one of the only reasons I miss being at Cartoon. I wish I was there for that being around. I would have loved to have been involved in that in any kind of way whatsoever.
Yeah.
Oh dear, looking back on the old Facebook memories of today. Anyway,
do you know what? I think there's at least one episode per season that has, I don't know, they just go a little bit sort of like, they plow a little bit more effort into it than all the others. And it was the one where Morty gets the reset gun.
Oh,
and he's able to save his point in time.
Yes.
And it's the whole thing. It's like they just have the music playing and they show you the montage of his life as he uses this reset gun to do what he needs to, just to find the, his perfect person and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and
work
it's
his
great.
way to Jessica.
It's as usual. You see what he's doing. He's having a great time, but then the heartbreak comes.
It is a cracker.
It is, and it's got. It's like it just gets me every time. Those sort of things. They just do the rug pull.
Yeah,
this is it. Yeah. And they slap you up. But no, just really, really good. Really enjoyed it. I'm can't wait for watching season 5 now. When it becomes a little bit easier to watch. I think is it on?
It's
channel,
on. Yeah,
channel
it's
4?
on Channel 4 now. You can get it on all 4.
Oh, cool. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which means you do have to go through adverts every 15 minutes, but it is worth it. It is really good.
I may wait till it gets on Netflix like the other ones, and just take it from there.
Well, it's definitely worth a watch. Season 5 is absolutely stonking. There are some episodes which you just think, like Scary Terry.
Yeah.
There's one which does a very similar thing, but with Cenobites from Hellraiser.
Right. Okay.
That's all I'm saying. I'll just leave you with that, and you just leave it there.
Story Train episode as well.
Oh God, following the story train. Yeah,
follow the story train. That one, and I fell for it. I thought, I'm going to go to the website they mentioned.
Yes, don't do that.
It's just like it's all part of the joke.
Yes,
or it's like, well, that was the point of the episode. Was it
Yeah.
consumerism? I think it was. Something like that.
Yeah, the story train episode is really good because that also goes back to a lot of monologues that Dan Harmon gives, especially about because he used to do. He used to go to like one of the colleges and do talks on writing and story writing and script writing and talking about the story circle and the story train. So it all kind of links back to that. So that's one for sort of more of the Harmontown fans and that sort of thing. But it's quite cool.
I did like all the the flashes of episodes that never existed. Those as well. It's like, why have you not produced some of these? These would be awesome.
Yeah, that's because it took them like nearly 3 years to produce season 4.
Did it?
Yeah, he never got it done. He was just taking forever.
Oh, blimey. Oh, that explains that little thing at the end of season 3.
Yeah.
When I can't remember the character's name, going, yeah, that'll come out at some time.
Or Mr. Poopy Butthole.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I've got to ration. I've got to ration the episodes then in that case.
Yeah, definitely.
Season 5, just to
Yeah.
edge it out a bit. I know, maybe watch one every 2 weeks. Maybe then. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, with any luck, Archer season 12 will appear on Netflix by then, and you'll be all right.
Yes, indeed. Well, that's a point. I've still got episodes to watch of that. The new season. So good stuff. Excellent.
Definitely check that out. That gets better and better.
Indeed.
Cool.
So that's that, really.
That's that then. Okie dokie. Well, that's fine then, because I'm actually stuffed to the gills with things this week. Well, let's go through the films first. I mean, firstly, I watched Arrival again for the first time in ages. I manned up, so to speak, and watched Arrival for a podcast that I will be recording in the not too distant future. And then I watched The Green Knight.
Oh,
which has just appeared on Amazon Prime and is also doing the rounds at the cinema.
Right.
Have you seen Excalibur, guys?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, right, fine. So you know how it kind of tells the Arthurian story, but in a kind of fucked up dream logic kind of way?
Yeah.
Where you're following it and you're sitting there watching it and you're kind of thinking, there's probably an easier way to tell this story that makes just like linear narrative sense. The Green Knight is a very similar kind of thing. It tells a pretty straightforward story about Sir Gawain.
I thought you were going to say that. Because I'm thinking, I remember the original Gawain and the Green Knight?
Yeah, or as it's pronounced, I think they go proper native with the old English, and it's Gawain.
Right.
Yeah, and essentially he's a bit of a wastrel. He's a bit of a sort of like ladies' man.
Yeah,
working his way through the brothels of an unknown castle town. And then what happens is it turns out he's an uncle who is just called the King but has a magic sword. And
let me guess.
Yeah, and his mother who's his uncle's half sister. Basically they're all having like a Christmas dinner, and then all of a sudden this thing that looks like half knight, half Groot rocks up and challenges the Knights of the Round Table to a battle of chivalry, which is essentially to, you land a blow on me and I will bestow upon you riches and gold and all this kind of thing and a magic axe, but you must bind yourself to me into this task that whatever you do, if you hit me, I will return that hit to you in 1 year hence. But you must come and seek me out to fulfill the knightly, the knight's honor code. But Gawain, I'll say Gawain for easiness, but it's Gawain. He basically, in desperate bid to sort of curry favour with his uncle, the king, gets a bit riled up. He's still a bit hungover, and so what he does is he lays a blow onto this Green Knight, which literally lops his fucking head off.
Right.
At which point, the body gets up, picks up its head, and goes, basically says, "See you in a year," wah-ha-ha-ha-ha, and then fucks off. And then what happens is there's this whole thing of this quest for Gawain in a year's time to essentially have to, through his, being a knight and having to he's not really a knight yet, but he's got to be a knight, to uphold his end of the bargain and go and seek out the Green Knight to have the blow returned to him on Christmas Day. So he's got to travel the whole of the country looking for this Green Knight. And he stumbles across a number of things, and I don't really want to say anything more than that, other than
then don't.
It's both quite straightforward, but also quite surreal. It's beautiful to look at, absolutely stunning, some of the stuff. But it's also a little bit too artsy for its own good. I think if you go in knowing it's an art film and everything things that you see on the screen mean something else. Everything's a metaphor, everything's a simile, everything's a kind of an allusion to some modern day thing. Then you'll be on the right wavelength. If you're just expecting a story of a knight trying to get from one place to another to satisfy his honor, then you're going to be sitting there going, wow, this took a bit of a weird turn. But it's on Amazon. It's on Amazon Prime, and it's well worth a look. But you've got to go in with the right mindset. Don't be surprised if you're watching it and you're just sitting there going, oh, this could have been like an hour, not 2.5. Right. But it's it's kind of interesting. I thought it was great in terms of it looked brilliant. The acting was all uniformly great. The story it was telling was really interesting, but it was also a bit too surreal for its own good for the rest of the people on the sofa watching it with me, shall we say.
Right.
And for some reason it does have a moment of wanking, but I'll leave that for you to discover. But anyway, so check that out. And then what else? Well, then, as promised last week, I had a story that I was going to go down to Bristol. And sure enough, I did. I went down and travelled for 4 hours down to Bristol on the wonderful travel on the rail, which is all fucked up beyond belief, to get down there to discover that I was, going to go to a pub, an actual open pub, with lots of sofas and bar and all this kind of thing, to sit there with my teammates while Miss Ballooniverse taught us how to make balloon animals.
Miss Ballooniverse.
Miss Ballooniverse. Yes.
Okay.
The famous Miss Ballooniverse. You can look her up on the internet.
No, I'm not going to.
And she's been on X Factor and all sorts of things. But she taught us.
Now hold the front page.
Yes, exactly. So,
Has she been in Razzle as well?
No, I couldn't possibly comment.
What's Babe Station?
What's Babe Station? Yeah. So anyway, so we went to see. So we saw Miss Ballooniverse in an open pub. At which point she taught us how to make like balloon dogs, and then we sort of upscaled to balloon wands with hearts on the end, and then we moved on to making balloon hats, and then just when you thought your embarrassment of sitting in a pub making balloon things couldn't get any worse, well, then she wants us all to do a little catwalk with our balloon hats on that we made.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah. So at that point, I just embraced the silliness of it, and I made myself a balloon Loki hat with big yellow horns sticking off, which are as ridiculous as it sounds, but they're not as ridiculous as what some of the other people were wearing, including sort of like, I don't know, flowers and all sorts of stuff stuck on the heads. And so, that was incredibly embarrassing. And it was overall, it was an 8-hour round trip for that 1 hour of sheer toe-curling embarrassment in the middle of a pub. So that was fun. Apparently
well worth the journey then.
Oh,
yes?
Absolutely well worth the journey. Yes, yeah, definitely. By the time I got home at like 9:15 at night, I was well glad I've been down in Bristol making fucking balloon animals at 2:30 in the afternoon.
Did you get to keep what you made?
We were allowed to keep what we made, but I'll be honest with you, I may have just let everyone else just tidy him up, put him in a black bag, and then left, because there was no fucking way I was going home on a plague pit of a fucking train just to get home with a bunch of balloon stuff. And it was okay. We were all reliably informed that the balloon plastic was vegan, so that was good.
Oh, there you go.
So all the important stuff there. Yeah, because I was concerned, obviously, being the kind of guy I am.
Who the fuck's eating balloons, for Christ's sake?
Well, I don't know. Then, what else? Then, after that, this weekend, Carol's brother was in town, and we went to meet up with him. At which point, I was informed by Carol, we're gonna go get something to eat, but he lives way over past Windsor sort of way, and we're obviously in the sort of diagonal opposite end of London. So the midway point is somewhere just near Wembley. So we went out to Wembley, and apart from driving past about a 40-mile queue for a petrol, which blocked up most of the North Circular for at least an hour, we got there and we had a lovely dinner, which was very nice, very, very civil, beautiful food, lovely. That's nice. And then what happened was we went into this place called the Box, and it's just on the Wembley site, and they have all these things like virtual reality game areas and sort of like lots of food areas and food stalls. But what they also have is a place called Bad Axe. And what you do there is you pay, and all of you go in for 2 hours, and you literally get to throw tomahawks.
Nice.
At wooden targets. So
you can say at each other for a minute.
Well, I tell you what.
Just sign this waiver.
Well, funny enough, we do have to do that. You had to sign a waiver before you were allowed to even sort of do anything. But yeah, and unsurprisingly, they don't sell alcohol over the bar.
Really?
So we were there, and there's all this sort of thing of like teaching you how to throw overhead, throw from one arm. How to do this, and at one point you got to all stay safe, so you got to stand behind a line. The person throwing's like a couple of steps in front of you, and I was quite.
By the end of it, you're star shaped against one of these things, and people are throwing axes at you.
Yeah, well, actually, funny enough, there was a bit where towards the end they show you how to do trick shots. And one of the trick shots is to hold 2 axes in one hand, or 2 axes in 2 hands, and do an overhead throw and throw both axes into the wood. Only problem is, when you do that, there's a 50-50 chance that what happens is both axes hit each other and bounce 60 feet backwards, straight back at you. and you know what? It was, there was a couple of moments like that where you think, I'm going to die here. I'm going to be found with an axe in my forehead and one in my shoe. And then apparently, but nothing is worse. I mean, there's a famous quote from Tom Hardy where he said, "What do I think of the UK and its people? Well, what I think is that when I cross a one-way street, I look both ways." And when we got given the safety notice about how to throw these tomahawks, the guy was saying, look, this is genuinely things that have happened, so we have to tell you not to do them, including when an axe falls, don't try and catch it with your foot. If an axe bounces back at you, do not try and catch it with your hands. And then finally, after a listing off a number of other things, the one that really got me was, do not lick the blade. I mean...
Okay.
Now, I can see why the do not catch it with your foot is there. Because when I've dropped stuff, if I drop stuff at work, or if I drop my phone or anything like that, immediately my foot just naturally goes out and tries to cushion the blow.
Yeah, exactly. But when you've got a like a 2-kilo blade flying at you, with you'd probably think about not being where it's going.
I hope my brain doesn't decide to try it.
Yeah, I mean, to be quite honest, as soon as anyone tried to throw the axe for the first time, you've never seen 8 people jump backwards going. So it's. I think the instinct is there that these big red axes with sharp blades on the end, you don't want to do anything with them, let alone lick the fuckers. But apparently that was the case. So there was that, and that was very good. So we had a good time had by all. Achy shoulders the next morning because lots of throwing.
Are you as tall as you once were after that experience?
I am, but I tell you what, I can only count up to 9 on my hands. But now we come to today, and today I did something which I think, when I think back on it, is now classic version 1 Black Dog.
Oh, right, okay.
And so old listeners may well be a bit more prepared for this than the version 2 listeners, shall we say. And basically, this afternoon, I'm sitting there we're sitting around the dinner table, we're eating dinner. Mm-hmm. And Katie, who is my eldest, she's doing A-level chemistry, she's doing A-level biology, she's doing A-level psychology, and so arguably she knows more than I fucking do by quite a chalk. Yeah. Anyway, so we're all sitting there, and then all of a sudden she goes, and this is the kind of conversations we have around the table when, like, all conversation about how your week's been kind of die off. How's your day been? Oh, I did this, I did that. We get to this conversation, and then she just turns around and she goes, I've read something today, which is that men can taste really strong flavours through their testicles. And I just was like, no, fuck off. What a load of old bollocks. Pardon the pun. Literally. And she's like, no, look, it's genuine. Look, it's, there's science behind it. There's the fact that, certain stem cells which would make taste buds are also found in certain locations on the body. And I'm like, nah, what a load of old toss. Anyway, she carries on, and I eventually, what I decide, brain, being, hey, I'm the fun dad, hey, let's have a laugh. I have a quick, surreptitiously sort of glance at the phone, and I just go testicles tasting, and flick it up, and then and on the Google,
that's a bad search.
Exactly, that is a bad search. Nope. Do not do that search. But I tell you what, I did the search, and I clicked on news, and the thing was, the problem is when you're looking on Google on your phone, you don't get as much text in the headlines as you would do if you were looking on the web browser. So I just like, oh, actually, there's there's one on I Fucking Love Science, and there's another one on Daily Mail, and I'm thinking, well, I forget that. There's one on there, and oh, hang on, there's quite a few here about this. So I go, look, I'm going, oh, well, go on in, let's try it. And then all the kids, the kids are like, oh, Dad, no. And Carol's like, oh, for fuck's sake, don't, But Katie, she's into it now. Dad's gone crazy. Dad's lost his marbles. So she goes out and she gets our new bottle of soy sauce. Because apparently soy sauce is the strongest taste.
Right.
She gets it. She pours about a ½ inch into a saucer. And I go, right, I'll tell you what, I'm going to read out my thoughts on this, and I'm going to go in the kitchen. You guys stay here. And they're all like, yeah, of course we are. You're
worst pet cat ever.
So I went out into the kitchen, and this is completely verifiable. I can tell you that now.
You did it in the kitchen?
Yeah. Well, it's food. I'm not going to fucking do it in the bathroom, am I?
No, because that would be ridiculous. Of course.
So I went
Getting your balls out in the kitchen, though.
Yeah, but there's no one else in the kitchen. Everyone else is in the living room.
He went
Jesus.
balls out for science.
I did. I'm a man of science. I've got to learn these things.
It's food. It's
So I dropped my keks. I'm standing there.
No, get out of my head.
And I
Get out of my head.
And I placed my old
This
chap.
is not good. I've been in your kitchen.
I placed my old chap and me meat and two veg with the beans and frank, shall we say, into the bowl of soy sauce.
Why?
Because I science and because I thought it'd be funny and I thought I'd give it a try.
Can I ask one question? When you're stood there with the bowl of soy sauce in between your legs,
Yes.
did you dip the testicles into the sauce or did you raise the bowl to coat the balls?
I raised the bowl. I'm glad. See, asking the science questions
Raised the
there.
bowl.
I raised the bowl because
Oh,
because dipping down would require certain leg strength that I may not have had at that particular time, and also would require me to have my legs akimbo because of the
God.
trousers. I couldn't do that, and I would have probably
Stop
fallen
it.
over.
Stop it with the imagery.
So I
Stop it.
brought the bowl up.
Were you facing the window when this was happening?
No, I was facing the cupboard. Come on, I'm not a bloody complete monster, you know.
Lee, you're telling this story. All I can think of now is was it? Remember that fake BBC Radio Times they used to put on the internet? It's that show Mick Hucknall's Pink Pancakes.
TV Go Home.
TV Go Home, that's
Charlie
it.
Brooker's TV Go Home. Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, so I raise them up. What I wasn't prepared for is, firstly, I wasn't prepared for how cold the soy sauce was. Right? The problem is with that instantly is that for those gentlemen in the audience, you know,
Were you chasing them?
no, what happened was
Lift up. No, hang on. Lift up again.
Exactly. They lift. But not only that, you also get wrinklage. And as soon as you get wrinklage, you get capillary action, which means it was drawing up the soy
more surface
sauce.
area as well.
I was
isn't it?
increasing the surface area.
Wrinklage on the dinklage.
Wrinklage on the dinklage. And so what happened was immediately the whole lot just went brown. And it sort of seeped around.
Creosoted bollocks.
It was like venom. It was like sort of like it surrounded me. It sort of come up. The problem was then that once I did that, I thought, oh no, and I lifted the bowl slightly higher, and the frank dipped in, and then capillary action took over there. At that point, pain struck.
You do know that we're just coming out of a pandemic, don't you?
Well, let's put it this way: unless someone eats that soy sauce, I don't think anyone's got anything to worry about. Well, I did put it back.
Kebab flavoured soy sauce. There we go.
No. Anyway, so I lifted it up, and it sort of like capillary actioned up, and it was just like the end of my knob was just like fire, and I'm just like, holy shit. Anyway.
I love the family can't come running in.
No, they can't. They can't come running in. Anyway, at that point, Carol thinks I'm just making the kids laugh and just standing in the kitchen making the kids laugh. And she comes in with the dishes thinking all she's going to find is me just standing there going, oh no, I'm in trouble. But actually, no, there I am with my trousers and my pants around my ankles with a blue bowl of soy sauce hanging off the end of my knob. All my midriff is basically going brown. There's soy sauce dripping all over the floor, and I've got tears in my eyes because now I've got soy sauce climbing up me inside of me eye. Me third eye, shall we say. Ow. Soy sauce in that area is not fun. And, yeah. And you know what? As I'm doing that and I'm screaming, oh, fucking hell, what have I done? Ah! Yeah. Then it turns out that the information that my scientist daughter, my A-level chemistry daughter, my A-level biology daughter, my A-level psychology daughter actually was giving me came from fucking TikTok.
Yeah.
So now I've got brown balls. My lap smells of soy sauce. I'm standing there like a complete gimboid thinking, what have I done? Why have I done this? My eyes are watering. My other eye is in extreme pain. And then I had to go to the shower and stand in it for an hour.
TikTok brown cock. There we go.
TikTok brown cock. Exactly. I mean, and you know what? I didn't taste the thing. Apparently, I couldn't taste the thing. And then it turned out that, well, firstly, they said, well, I have no sense of smell, so I couldn't taste anything anyway. And secondly, it turns out that the science is, yeah, those cells might go there, but they don't make a connection to the brain. So they don't do anything. So
no, it's all about the smell, isn't it? That's all it is. Smell and taste the vapor.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, when your balls warm up the very, very cold soy sauce. So there you go. So I feel like I've done a service for you guys out there in Black Dog Land. Do not put soy sauce on your cock.
So now you've done this, and you've done the tasting with the soy sauce. Are you going to train your bollocks to use chopsticks now? Is that what you're going to do?
I was going to move up to sweet and sour next week, but
well, I think you're halfway there already.
Well, you should go for the chili jam.
Go for the chili jam.
Next week, mango chutney.
Yeah, next week, poppadoms. Oh! Yeah, serration. So there you go. So, yeah, I've still got staining. I've been in I was in that shower for an hour, and it's still stained. I don't know how long.
We should buy you some Indian dishes and not tell you what they are. You have to guess what they are by dipping your testicles in them and telling us if this is a tikka masala, korma, danzak, or madras.
Yeah. Is it an onion bhaji? Well, I hope so, because otherwise I'm rubbing my balls on sandpaper.
I could just see you in McDonald's trying out the same experiment with those little pot sachets of the fucking barbecue sauce.
Next time,
that's woody.
Next time you go for a romantic meal, right? And the waiter comes up to you, so would you like to try the wine, sir? Just stand up and start taking your trousers off.
Yeah. Hold on. No, sir. No, we're supposed to take the cork out, sir. Yeah. Don't do that. Don't do that. And like I say, the staining is still there as of, what is it now? 22:10. We're doing this. It's 22:10. And, I got out of the shower about 8:30. So, after being in it for an hour. Nice. So, it does stain. It doesn't sting anymore, but it does stain. So, there you go. Dear. So, don't try and make your kids laugh. And don't listen to scientists from TikTok. But I tell you what, if I find out tomorrow from Katie, she's in bed now, but if I find out from Katie tomorrow that this whole thing was a part of her psychology test, that, can you manipulate a silly old fuck to stick his knob in some soy sauce, I'm going to be well pissed.
The answer is yes, folks.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, I did put it back in the bottle. I'm not a monster. So the last laugh's on them when the Chinese meals come back.
That'll
learn them. Yeah, it went from soy sauce to plum sauce, and then went straight on to fish sauce, and now we're done with it.
Plum sauce, you say?
Yes, plum sauce.
Yes. So Chinese meal dance treat this weekend.
Yeah, exactly. Who wants noodles? So there you go. So that's been my week. Hopefully that's made up for a few lackluster weeks from me the last couple of weeks. Things I do for you guys. Honestly, it wasn't me being stupid. I'm just doing it for the entertainment value. Honest gov. Mm-hmm. Right. Let's. And by the way, if you've ever dunked your genitals into some kind of condiment, then please do send your feedback in to feedback@blackdogpodcast.com. Right.
Don't feel obliged to send the pictures.
Yeah. We don't need the pictures. No, thanks all the same. But I'm thinking I might set up a sort of like self-help group for call it genital mustard or something like that. I don't know. But we'll see how it goes. Anyway, right. Let's move on. Let's move on swiftly to the feedback. Last week we did Scanners, which was, I think, generally speaking, kind of meh. I think the ideas were outweighed by the execution. Jim, you enjoyed it a lot more than the rest of us, I think it's safe to say. But we got a lot of feedback. We got feedback from Thomas McCamberley, who sent in on the Facebook group, which is facebook.com/groups/the Black Dog Podcast. And he said, an interesting note for any given value of the word interesting. The exploding head guy in Scanners was an American-born Canadian actor called Louis Del Grande. He's best known, outside Scanners, for his next role, starring in the CBS comedy show called Seeing Things, at Louis Giccone, a reporter who was precognitive, is able to touch items and see brief flashes from the past. It was the most popular 80s TV show in Canada and lasted for 6 seasons. But honestly, it's at best. But yeah, I assume, as Lewis was the creator for Seeing Things, that his inspiration came from the show Scanners. So there's actually a whole episode. He's linked a whole episode on the Facebook group to this thing. I didn't get to look at it because it had that 80s vibe, and you sort of look at it and you just go, yeah, I need to be in the mood to watch this. But it's on there, so have a look and check it out.
What was the Christopher Walken movie we just did as well?
Dead Zone, yes.
Yeah.
Because that he had to touch things to see things, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Not soy sauce, though.
Not soy sauce, no. Not soy sauce. I think everyone's going to steer away from the soy sauce. In fact, I think anyone coming to my house might steer away from the condiments entirely. Yeah, just don't go near the chicken wraps. Just don't. Anyway, moving on. He says, trying to bring it back on track. David Renane also wrote in, and he said, "Crikey, I know there was a thing for gritty TV remakes in the late 80s, early 90s." But this version of Tomorrow People is a bit grim. By the way, 100% in agreement with Elton about Lucky Logan. Just too many little what-there's being pulled out of the film. Still, it's good, but not quite great. Jeffrey Mark Hyman also wrote in and said, I wouldn't say I enjoyed it exactly, but Scanners was a very interesting experience. It's a shame it was rushed because there was a lot of nice concepts in it, which I think all of us were getting around to in the end. That it was all ideas and not necessarily execution as much. And finally, Martin Thompson writes in to say, I mostly agree with you guys about Scanners. It had some good ideas, great effects for the time, but overall I found it a bit dull. So there you go. So that's the feedback for last week's Scanners. Now, we did get some feedback in for this week's The Vast of Night from Amber Organ, which was sent through on Twitter. I won't read that out this week because, yes, as I say, it might colour the impressions that we're about to give. Okay. But, but we'll have that next week and I'll read it out. And if anybody wants to send any feedback in for any other episodes or even the episode we're about to do, then send it in to feedback@blackdogpodcast.com or go to the Facebook group, which is facebook.com/groups/the Black Dog Podcast, or go on to blackdogpodcast.com and just click on the Contact Us page and send us it through there as well. There you go. So, right, I think that's that. Soy sauce cleared away. The feedback cleared away. I think we can move on to the actual film now with, which is this week's movie, The Vast of Night. Roll the jingle.
I see it's nearly 5 o'clock. I'm here at home, my work's all done. No question where I'll be tonight, a place of cinematic fun. It's the lockdown, but I will not pout. Oh, my friends, I won't be seeing this out alone. There's Lee and Elton and Jim and Darren, all sitting far apart for social distance. We're at the shut-in cinema, down in the bunker of shun. Down in the bunker of shun.
Hey fellas, it's been nearly 5 years. You gonna let me out now or what?
No. Right, so The Vast of Night is a 2019 American science fiction mystery film directed by Andrew Patterson. The film is co-produced and written by Patterson under the pseudonym of James Montague and Craig W. Sanger, loosely based on the Kecksburg UFO incident and the Foss Lake disappearances. The film is set in 1950s New Mexico, where Faye Crocker, played by Sierra McCormick, a young switchboard operator, and Everett Sloan, played by Jake Horowitz, a radio disc jockey, discover a mysterious audio frequency that could be extraterrestrial in origin. The Vast of Night premiered at the Slamdance Film Festival in January 2019, and Amazon acquired it shortly after and released it on May 29th, 2020, including drive-in theatres in the States and video on demand Amazon Prime Video. I won't go into the whole thing about reviews from critics because that's our job, and we don't have a budget, so to speak. Well, we don't have a take-in. We have a budget of $700,000 all in. But we don't have how much it took because obviously it was released via Amazon Prime. So yeah, we could all take a guess and it wouldn't make any difference. Darren, do you want to take a guess?
A tape recorder and a stolen bike.
Okie dokie. Jim? We seem to have lost Jim. Can we put him through? Get him back on the switchboard. Elton, what about you?
One piece of Elvis's carpet.
Oh, of course. Well, yeah. Were you ever going to give him Elvis's carpet? No, we don't have that. Right. Okay. I'll take a guess at that. And then they just stood in the sky and stood there and looked up at the sky. I can't remember. Do you know what? Normally, I don't normally do these things, so I'm never having to think on my feet.
That's right, yeah.
See, I now know how hard it is. See, I'll just cut this bit out and won't sound like a fucking idiot. Anyway, right, we're going to go around the table, find out what everyone thought of it. Is this the first time everyone's seen it apart from me?
Yes. Second time for me.
Yeah.
Second time for you as well, Jim. Okay, right. Well, in which case we'll do Darren first, then Elton, then Jim, then me. Okay, so let's do it that way. So, Darren, what did you think of The Vast of Night?
I really enjoyed it.
You really enjoyed it, yeah?
I did.
Yeah, nice. That's handy.
Although I will say, don't watch it when you're feeling slightly tired late at night, because trust me, you won't make it through.
No.
Okay? Yeah. I think I've got to say the first 5 minutes, I think, wore me out.
Yeah.
Just trying to concentrate on everybody talking over everyone else.
Yeah. I did warn everyone about that last week, but yeah, okie dokie.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, well, Elton, this is obviously your pick, and this is the first time you've seen it. What did you think of it?
I loved it.
Yeah?
I thought it was really, really good from
Yeah.
start to finish. And I don't think there's many things I would change, if anything at all. I really enjoyed it. There's so much to appreciate from it.
Okay.
So, yeah, I liked it.
Cool. Okay, then. And over to the old timers with this film, me and Jim. Jim, what did you think of it?
I really enjoyed this second time around, even though I only watched it the first time not that long ago. I think there's a lot in this movie. It does repay rewatching, but not necessarily in the usual kind of, well, you know where it's going, then you see it in a different light, but more in just the texture and the little details and the characters and just how it was made, and just the whole shebang. Really, there's such a beautiful craft to this movie, and such subtlety. It's kind of like, really, really appreciated it and really enjoyed it thoroughly again a second time.
Nice, that's good. Cool. I'm the same. I think the first time I watched it, I appreciated it for what it was. I have a little problem with the finale, but I will get to that at some point, I'm sure. But this time around, watching it a second time, I was able to just take, as you say, taking that texture, taking that sort of attention to detail, the sort of like the craft, putting it all together, making the town feel like one cohesive location, all that kind of stuff. All the characters who kind of flit in and out, and you get shown, you don't get told what some of these people are in their relationships to each other, and it felt like a really nice slice of life. And I loved the book ending of this kind of, I don't know, I was going to say scary door, wasn't it? Because that was in Futurama, wasn't it? But the sort of Twilight Zone sort of book ending over the whole thing as well.
Which paranoia theatre.
Yeah, or paradox theatre, was it?
Or paradox theatre.
Paradox theatre, yeah, that's it. There you go. And, for a film that was, 98 minutes or whatever it was, or, it was pretty lively on its feet. And, yeah, I loved it. I thought it was really good. Well, let's get into it then, I guess. I mean, without preempting what Anne-Marie sent to us for next week, I mean, how did you feel about it initially, getting into it? Because it it takes its time to get going, and as I mentioned last week, it has that kind of confusing babble of voices and stuff over the top of everything.
Yeah.
And I was just wondering how you guys handled that.
I think, I think having to watch the first part of it twice was definitely a bonus, because my brain filled in the gaps on the second time then, when it started concentrating on other parts of conversations and what have you. So I got the gist of what was going on, which was cool. And I do like it was a squirrel chewed through the wire and it still had the wire in its teeth comment. I thought that was going to be made more of.
Yeah.
I know they said it a good few times, but I thought that was going to be a running joke throughout the film.
Yeah. I must admit, this second time round, I had a better appreciation of it because I just kept going back to Elton's fuse box. I thought, yeah, hang on. So this is a regular thing, you get sort of rodents stuck in the fuse box. But yeah, I for me that opening monologue. Well, first time we watched it, that wiped Carol out. She just was like, "Nope, I'm out. Peace. See you later," and she bailed on it. So I ended up switching to subtitles, and it's only the second time round, knowing that half this stuff doesn't really matter, other than to set the tone and set the pace. It really isn't that important. I kind of let it wash over me the second time. What about you, Jim? I mean, how did you find it?
Well, it's one of those things. This time I was paying a bit more attention because the first time I watched it, I just sort of let it wash over me. Of going, you're not, you don't really need to listen. It's just kind of like, setting the scene and giving you, it's tonal. Well, this time was making more of an effort to listen to all the things. And there is stuff there that starts seeding bits of character stuff and, you know what I mean? And I think it's kind of a good way to kind of draw you in because it makes you work just a little bit to begin with.
Yeah.
Because it is a very, very talky film.
Yes.
And, it's kind of, for a lot of people, it's kind of, it doesn't have 6 jump cuts and some bargain basement, new metal, hip hop grinding on the soundtrack and everything shot through 64 fucking blue filters. People are fucking bored because it's slow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas I think it's a very canny move to start the film like that, but it's also very dynamic because the camera's following people around, and it's literally pulling you into the world, into the town and all the people, and you get the whole setup to say, which is quite crucial, that everyone's in this small town is obsessed with this goddamn football game, and they're all going to be there. Virtually, the whole town is going to be there, out of the way conveniently.
Yeah,
and I think that is really, really cleverly done, and just a really intriguing way to start a movie. I think
it was. Did you notice one or two of the sort of nods to its influences as well that were there?
Go on.
Like the radio station.
Oh,
Did you notice the name?
Yes.
Yeah. The acronym T, was it?
WOTW.
Yeah, no, well, it was TWO.
It's War of the Worlds, isn't it?
Yeah, was it WOT? Yeah, that's it. Well, yeah, War of the Worlds. It also reminded me, funny enough, because it does the whole Twilight Zone opening, it reminded me of an episode called The Monsters Are Due on Maple Street. Did you ever watch that one? It's the one where somebody starts a rumour. And it ends up with literally the populace of the street tearing it apart. They all start distrusting one another. I think it's somebody believes that there are aliens that are invading the street, and there are no aliens in the entire episode at all. But people start.
The Monsters Are Due on Maple Street.
Yeah, that's what I said. That one there, yeah, that one. And it's like they do the work of the aliens themselves.
Yeah,
that's
like
it.
Pure
They're called
paranoia.
Yeah, that's it. And that's what that reminded me of a little bit.
Cool. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. There's only a few Twilight Zone episodes I truly remember nowadays, but I do have the box set, and I do want to go through them at some point. Probably when I retire.
There are a lot.
There are a lot, yeah. What about you, Elton? How did you find that opening?
I think I appreciated it more the second time round.
So you've watched it twice now?
I have watched it twice, yes.
Oh, nice.
For 2 reasons. Number 1, because I really enjoyed it. Number 2, I was hoping I would get a bit more from that opening, as you said, Jim, seeding stuff.
Yeah.
And I didn't quite catch everything. There's a lot going on in the talking, but the way I see it is this is the stretching before the actual workout that you have to do during the film. So they give you this real fast-paced stuff that you really need to keep up, and then it gets to the quiet talking, the big monologues, and you're prepared, you've stretched, you're ready for this. And then you just sit there intently, just listening. It's incredible way it draws you in.
Yeah, the power of those monologues is kind of weighed off by that babble at the beginning, isn't it? Because your brain's kind of fizzing about, and then when you finally get some nice clear dialogue, you're kind of laser focused on it, aren't you?
Oh, it's like honey in your ears, isn't it? Although that would make everything sound muffled, but yeah.
Try soy sauce on your balls. That'll make you laser focused as well.
Do you know what? I like the timing on some of this stuff as well, especially when Billy comes to the end of his big monologue, and there's just that bit where it flips between Faye and the DJ, and then all of a sudden he goes, "Faye, run," and it's that where she bolts out the door to go to the
the library.
The thing, I love that bit, just that pause,
and
then the Faye, run,
yeah, exactly, that whole thing. I mean, the whole monologue stuff, I mean, is really the meat and potatoes of this film that I think works the best.
Yeah.
I to just give a bit of sort of family history sort of thing. When on Saturdays, very long time ago, there always used to be sort of like people from next door and down the street and all this sort of thing would gather around my parents' house just for sort of drinks and shits and giggles. But there was a guy who would always he was I'd say he was a pilot, but I don't think he was. I think he just had a amateur aviation license. And every now and again, he'd come up and he'd have a little story of, something he's seen, something he's done, something stupid that's happened, sort of thing. And I always remember being rapt by those kind of moments where it sort of like went from a cacophony of like my dad talking to the next door neighbour Ian, who's talking to the guy across the road called Fran, and there's they're all in all in the living room, and they're all kind of babbling away at each other, and then all of a sudden this other guy would come in and he started talking, and then all of a sudden it just died down and he just sort of hold the room with a monologue or just with some sort of dialogue. And I always remember those moments. You're just sitting there going, wow, that's, when you can hold a room with just a story. And there was films and TV stuff like that ever since, I think, have really affected me. So when you get those moments of sort of like pure quiet and just one person trying to tell you something very, very carefully, I find myself kind of getting right drawn in. And I've always found that stuff both really interesting but also incredibly creepy.
It is very creepy. You're waiting for something to trick you. You're waiting for something to appear, aren't you? And there's a couple of moments. The second time I watched it, I actually just laid back and just listened to Billy talk because I thought it was so pretty to listen to, and it also goes back to the very beginning of the actual film where you are transported into a TV, so it feels like you are in an episode. It's I know it's made to look like the Twilight Zone and that sort of program, but you are almost entering the TV and becoming part of an episode. And then when you sit down and you just listen to Billy talking, and then every now and again it'll pop back and you'll see a TV screen, you'll see like the radio, as if someone else is watching the radio, just sat there with their hands, their chin on their hands, leaning over on a chair, going, I cannot pull myself away from this. The way it was delivered was just perfect.
Yeah. How did you? I mean, this sort of thing, like I say, really puts the pardon the phrasing, the willies up me. I mean, it's kind of like, I think years ago on the Question podcast from our friends Sean and Melissa, there was this whole thing that Melissa said about like number stations, where you just get that kind of, that sort of background hiss, and then every now and again a completely monotone voice would just go 12, 47, 12, 3, Delta, 12.
You've
6,
just activated
1.
someone, by the way.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah. They come straight through the wall like a fucking, like the fucking, what's that guy, the
Ram Man from X-Men or something?
No, what's what's
Billy
his
Jones.
name? No, yeah. I'm Juggernaut, bitch. No, no, what was it? The guy, the jug, Kool-Aid guy, yeah. Anyway.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
Oh yeah. Anyway, so So things like that really kind of, and that was kind of the stuff that used to be the most powerful bits in something like the X-Files.
Mm-hmm.
Not the monsters, not the spooky lights, but just when you get a conversation from someone who is clearly scared or has seen things and are trying to tell you in a way they're trying to comprehend.
But this wasn't exposition, though, was it? It was
No.
It was storytelling. It was world building. Exposition is just, well, he must have done this because of this, and explaining something that's happened earlier on. But this was something different. This was the world building, and it was taking its time. And not a lot of films tend to take their time anymore. Imagine a multi-million-pound movie nowadays having a big bit where it's just focused on a woman and then going black, and then just cutting everything so you're just listening to her voice. How many people would actually go, well, that was shit?
Yeah.
It's a very sort of theatrical form of a storytelling. There's a great play whose name I've completely forgotten, but there was a radio version. I caught the radio version, and basically it's a bit similar to this, but it's like 4 people after dinner in a farmhouse in Ireland, and they just start talking about things, and gradually they all end up sort of telling a story of something strange that they've heard about. And it's absolutely electrifying. You know what I mean? It is kind of like it's just that kind of, it just gives you that hairs on your back of your neck sort of feeling. And this really reminds me of that, because it is, in a way, it's almost like a little anthology film.
Yeah.
Because you have the 2 main stories of like Billy's stories from the phone in, and then the lady's house they visit, and then you've got the wraparound story that links it together.
Yeah.
And I really like. I think that structurally, I think it's fascinating, and I like the fact that it makes people sit down and listen and experience a performance, but not in the kind of wanky. I'm giving a speech about something important, and the writer has put important words in my mouth, and this speech will last exactly long enough to look good on an Oscar.
On an Oscar
screen a clip,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This doesn't fit that.
Yeah, I was going to say it was like the sort of like the Quentin Tarantino, what I call the Quentin Tarantino monologue, where the camera just slowly moves in on someone's face while they just constantly just give out some really, sharp but kind of dialogue, and you're just like, oh, this is not them talking. This is the writer telling us something. But yeah, sorry, Jim, carry on. Anyway, carry on.
Yes, I thought you just considering this so little happens. Well, I think this approach, though, I think it gets to kind of the inherent spookiness of the subject matter. I mean, I think kind of in a way, kind of these days, we do any sort of film about aliens. It's always look at the saucer, isn't it amazing? Look at the alien design, and they're very keen to show you that. Whereas, I mean, I remember sort of growing up and reading about UFOs, and it all being really weird and creepy. And I know recently there's a thing. There's an article in The Guardian a couple of weeks ago. It was quite interesting. It's called "Is It Time to Rethink Whether Aliens Exist or Not?" And it had a very interesting quote from a guy called Timothy Good, who was the MOD's UFO expert at one stage. Yeah, he was saying people who have experienced these things, the skeptics, the first thing they say, this making up for fame and fortune. He said, what fame and fortune? No one gets rich off this thing. They variously, get portrayed as cranks, told they're mad, or worse, liars. Yeah. And these people don't make a penny out of it. In fact, it ruins their lives, and they're often scared and upset, and they want answers that no one can give them. Yeah. And I thought this just nailed that and brought that back to the alien subgenre in cinema in a way I don't think we've seen probably since Close Encounters.
Yeah. I think in many ways it does, and you're right, and it does, but it does also suffer from the same problem of Close Encounters when it comes to finale. But like I say, we'll get to that bit.
Well,
but go on.
Some of the bits that made Close Encounters scary for myself, it's the not knowing.
Yeah.
The thing that still sends shivers down my spine. You know, the screws that unturn.
Yeah.
On the air vent.
Yep.
Yeah.
Gee, now I'm getting all prickles down my spine at the moment.
Yeah.
Just thinking about it.
Yeah.
And you're hearing these stories. These are the stories that you're like, well, is it real? Isn't it real? And it just gives you the willies. But in such a good way that you're like, I don't want to see these aliens. Because if you see something gangly made of rubber coming out, you'll be like, oh, no, that was really bad.
Yeah. Well, exactly. It's you know, as I'm just looking it up now. I mean, it's like the one of the stories this film was based off of is this thing called in 1969, which also I think is one of the references for Close Encounters, which is called the Foss. Was it the Foss Reservoir Disappearances?
Yes, yeah.
Is that
Foss Lake
Ranch or something?
No. It's a reservoir known as Foss Lake, and basically, 3 separate groups of adults, or 3 adults, basically vanished without a trace, and they vanished around this lake, and no one could work out where they'd gone, and for the longest time, and it's just like, and
the car they were in vanished as well.
Yep, the car vanished and everything, and it's just,
bloody hell.
and it's just like, hang on, what happened to that? I mean, that's a very odd thing to happen. Now, you know, since then they have solved it, but the thing was, combined with another thing that happened just down the road, which was that the military sort of secured a satellite, or something that they say was a satellite that came down nearby. It became like a big sort of double whammy, you know, of sort of like, well, what the fuck is happening here? You know, people are disappearing. There's a satellite coming down. Ooh, what's going on? And I think that, as you say, the not knowing and not seeing is a lot scarier than seeing anything. I mean, Darren, do you remember something? I think maybe you could probably talk about this, because do you remember when we used to see something on TV called Project Blue Book?
Yes, Project UFO.
Project UFO. Was it Project UFO or was it Project Blue Book?
No, it was based on Project Blue Book, but the show was called Project USA. I even remember the bloody theme tune, but
please don't sing it.
No, I won't. Do you know what? My lasting memory of that show, the one thing I always think of is the end of one episode where it just finished on the shot of a kite caught in overhead electrical wires blowing in the wind. It was the end of an episode.
Yeah.
But Project Blue Book, or should I say Project UFO, great show. Yeah.
Which it also had that same vibe as The Vast Night, because it was always, you got a glimpse of something at the very beginning, the teaser before the credits.
Yeah.
Then you have these 2 sort of FBI agents coming to the person's house and trying to work out what the fuck has just gone on. And it did always invariably come to a monologue from the person telling the story. Mm-hmm. And then what they did, which is the classic moment, is that in the end, these things would never get solved. And they always inform you that Project Blue Book was actually a project that was going on by the FBI, sponsored by the government and the Air Force.
Yep.
To discover UFOs. So suddenly it had this veneer of sort of authenticity, and it was just like, that creepy unknown, that existential dread, that Lovecraftian horror, that fear of the unknown. And I think that's in Vast of Night in spades. It's so good.
Well, I know it has that mention of the War of the Worlds, and War of the Worlds is that audio drama that everyone is aware of.
Yeah, the Awesome Worlds one.
Yeah, but the way this film acts is very much on the same sort of level, where you find yourself just attached to the TV and just listening. It gives you them moments to just listen as well.
Yeah. I mean, that's... Yeah. I mean, well, I mean, I've said my piece, actually. I mean, Darren, what did you think about the monologues?
Yeah, not for watching or listening to when you're feeling a little bit tired. Okay, I'll say that now. You've got to be awake to listen to this. But no, thoroughly engrossing. As I say, especially Billy's ones. Right, him, just the way it's sort of like, you know, that calm delivery, as he builds up the picture of what happened to him, you know, him and his colleagues. Yeah, very, very well done. Yeah, it's nice. It's refreshing to have a science fiction film dealing with the sort of subject matter. Yeah, like invasion that doesn't involve like people calling out the bloody army, and then the army, instead of standing there going, "Why don't we just approach them and say hi?" and, you know, what do you want? But, you know, and they just throw missiles at it. Yeah, but this, just nice, subtly done, plays on the paranoia of the time, like the McCarthy era type thing as well. Yeah, there is that. Yeah.
That bit when they're trying out the tape recorder at the very beginning and say, you know, I'm Faye McCormick, and I have never been a part of the Communist Party or something like that. And it's that whole thing going back to the was it the the McCarthy trials, wasn't it? The McCarthy era. Oh, I can't remember the bloody name. Go on, anyway. Everyone knows what I'm talking about, but yeah, carry on.
Yeah. Indeed,
ignore me.
You know, it's an age where science fiction was just coming into being. You know, I think the 50s is where science fiction really took off as a sort of like, you know, in cinema and what have you. So people are just getting their heads around that and getting these quite twee and innocent ideas of what, you know, Martian invasion or alien invasion would be like. You know.
Yeah, I mean,
I like films from. That's probably why I really like films from that era. Is because it was from a time of real innocence, you know.
Which kind of goes to a certain point about like science fiction in general. Is that back then it was all about wonder and mystery and new things and exploration and understanding and just being confronted with the unknown, whereas these days it's all about what can we shoot with lasers and how can we all sit around singing Kumbaya and having a cry.
Exactly.
There's a moment when Everett, he's talking to Faye in the car, and she's like, well, what is this? He's like, it's definitely Russian, and it's refreshing not to have that thought of, oh, someone's already sorted it all out. Oh, aliens are definitely coming down and definitely going to be bumming us.
Okay. That wasn't exactly where I was going with that, but you know what? Well, that escalated quickly, didn't it?
Right turn, Clyde. Good Lord.
But it's nice, though, isn't it? To have...
That's an episode of Star Trek I missed.
Just... not the conclusion straight away. Oh, definitely aliens. It's a slow build up to they're in the sky now, they're above us now, and it wavers between something's up there, people are higher up than what we can actually see, and no, it's definitely Russians.
Yeah, well, it's that whole thing of, you know, when you've got sort of like an improbable situation or an improbable question, you go to the answer that makes the most sense and is the simplest one. It's the Occam's razor thing, isn't it? It's like we could either believe it's aliens from another planet, or we can believe it's spy plane from Russia during the middle of the Cold War. You know, it's just like, okay, which one are you going to pick? And so, especially in that sort of McCarthy era, you know, sort of where everyone's Red's under the bed. It's that whole nod to things like, you know, Invasion of the Body Snatchers and, you know, Invaders from Mars and all that kind of stuff as well.
Yeah. They lay out how much they think of science fiction and fact early on with that walk to the the switchboard place where Faye's talking about cars and self-driving cars and such.
Yeah.
And that is just subtly telling you that they believe it, they don't believe it. That's too far-fetched for them to actually grasp or anything like that. And that helps the story along. It helps the believability of, well, it might not be aliens. We know as an audience, it's going to be aliens straight away. But the enjoyment is watching them work it out.
Yeah, I think in that respect, the time span, the actual, the era it's set in really helps. I think I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, if this was set in a sort of like modern era, what do you think? If you made a 21st century based remake of this, would it necessarily work? Given that we, all the shit that we think we know, and the technology we have to hand.
I think the paranoid will be probably worse, right? Because what you could do is you could play on the fake news angle of this.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you believe? How you get people with crazy ideas going on the internet. I mean, we've seen an awful lot of that in the last few years.
Last few weeks.
Even the last few weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, look how much chaos the media has caused by mentioning two words: fuel shortage.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's it. So I think you could use you could use that angle with this. So it's like, what do we believe? Is it an invasion or not? Is it terrorists? Because that's the most popular one these days. Is it terrorists?
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true, actually. Everyone starts getting paranoid.
Yeah. You could even have it so that as it goes on, the forms of communication that we normally use are taken slowly away, one by one.
Yeah.
Which
I think
would, that would signify an invasion as well. With lines of communications go down.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe one day we'll make it ourselves.
Oh yeah, let's do it.
The Vast of Night 2 Electric Boogaloo. Okay. Well, okay. I tell you what then. What about the cinematography? How do we feel about? Let's address the big shot. The big shot through that town.
Oh, there's a couple of them though, isn't there?
Yeah, but there's one. When you mention the big shot, I think everyone knows what it is. That sort of like when Everett steps out and he has his fag, and the camera kind of pulls away from him and literally goes through the entire town, including the basketball match, out the back, through the rest of the town, off to Faye sitting at the switchboard.
No, it goes the other way. It starts.
Oh, sorry. It starts with her. Sorry, it goes to him. Sorry, my mistake. Yeah.
And she lights up a cigarette that she hadn't. That was just a prop for her, wasn't it? In the beginning, she took it on.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I've got to say, I'm pretty sure that was a drone. They got to film that. Looking at some of the shots, I mean, unless I'm wrong, unless they used a heavy amount of CG and they used it absolutely perfectly, then the way that camera flies over people's shoulders, going through small gaps in windows, it's got to be a drone.
I heard one thing about it.
Yeah, go on.
I heard there was someone with a go-kart.
Not far off. I thought you
were going to say a three-legged dog.
Yeah, which is America.
The
three-legged dog is America. Yeah. No, it was... you're not far off. What they had was they had a bike. They had a bike with a sort of sidecar, or at least something to hang the thing off. Because when I first watched it, I thought it was all CG and stitched together. And it turns out they had a bike, and they had like 3 cameramen, and one was sort of like sitting on the back of the building. So when that person comes in on the bike, they bike from Faye all the way through to the town. When they get to the basketball match, the person hands off to another cameraman. That cameraman, as soon as he gets up and starts moving, he's lifting it from the guy on the bike. They go walking into the basketball match, and essentially what they're doing then is everyone is parting in front of him.
Yeah.
If you watch it slowly, you can actually see they sort of slowly separate, very slowly as he gets closer.
You can see the little bumps as someone gets off the motorbike as well, just before he goes.
Exactly.
It's like 3 steps. You're like, oh, okay. But I only noticed that on the second time round.
Yeah. And then once it gets to the back of the basketball court, then what happens? They hand the camera through to the person behind the building. And that person takes it, puts it back on the bike, and carries on going. And that, to me, is an incredible bit of filmmaking. I mean, I was like I say, when I mentioned this on the cast, I think last year, and I saw that shot, and I was swearing black was white that was After Effects jobs and all sorts of stuff. But I was impressed. How do you feel about it? I mean, I know it's impressive, but did you think it helped, or was it just showing off?
I thought it helped. It just gave this sort of sense of scale again. And it's also, because it's like a point of view shot. It comes at a time, it just actually, on one hand, it gives the film some sort of movement and some dynamic after a lot of very static, in some cases, black screens. But it also gives you that kind of sense of, well, actually, what is out there? They are being observed, aren't they? They're here. But it's like a subtle kind of below the radar kind of sort of tease, really. Just just kind of just a little quiet prod of kind of, there you go, think about that.
Yeah.
And it just kind of, I don't know, I think it just opens up the film again and just gives you that sort of sense of space and the smallness of the town and the bigness of literally the vastness of the night.
Yeah.
Because it's a very low sort of shot as well. And it gives you just that kind of, what I noticed this time is it's not just kind of like a long, spooky point of view from someone we don't know, but the fact it's low down, it gives you kind of a child's eye view of the world is all much bigger and more overwhelming.
Yeah.
And I thought that's just really subtle but clever touch.
And that low view makes it seem even more emptier, doesn't it? Because everyone's at the basketball match, and a drone view, like a real high rooftop view, you wouldn't get the emptiness, I don't think.
No. I tell you what it reminded me of. I mean, again, this is Medcar family history, but back in the day, we had a caravan. And, again, you'd have this caravan park, sort of quite open caravan park. And everyone would gather sort of in the sort of like, there's like a little social area, sort of pub, sort of games room thing right in the centre of the park, so to speak, the caravan park. So, you occasionally you'd have to go back to the caravan to get your things or change or whatever. And when you're on your own, running across like what seems like fields and fields. I mean, it's probably only a couple of 100 yards, but when you're younger, that distance feels like it could be on the other side of the planet. And and it's getting dark, and you know that everyone is in the other room that's behind you by miles. And I got that sense again. I had a real kind of, oh God, you realise quite how alone Everett and Faye are, because there is literally no one in this town. They're all in that basketball room, and I thought that did a masterful job of making everything seem much more isolated. And also it had a prowling feel, which kind of speaks to what Jim was saying there about, like, that they're here, they're watching. It feels like something's prowling through the town.
Yeah.
I thought it was a blinding shot, an amazing shot.
Well, even one of the opening shots once again, they go through the basketball court. It's following Everett to and froing.
Yeah.
And that's all one shot as well, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's and when she's doing the old the working on the switchboard, I think I read that was a 9-minute shot of her face just working that board, and it was cut down from 11 minutes.
Yeah.
But it's again, so gripping.
I was going to say, that's the thing, isn't it? You know, how do you feel about those long shots? I mean, I know we've all mentioned that it feels refreshing, but did it help the film? Because did it not slow it down for you guys, or how do you feel about them?
I like them. I like just the sort of stylistics. It's a kind of, I think those long shots, it gives you sort of a sense of claustrophobia, weirdly, because it puts you in that situation, and it's not taking you out of it with fancy cuts and filters, and it makes it intimate, if that makes sense. I mean, there's a great long shot where she's just listening and reacting, and it's an unbroken shot, and it's fabulous because obviously, probably on set, she couldn't actually hear. She's probably got some guy reading the script off camera, and she's reacting to that. But it's a brilliant performance. It's wordless. It's all just small, like a little frown here, tilt of the head there. It's just fantastic. Really, I think it really gives you a sense of being there and puts you sat next to the characters with them. Yeah,
and that sense of isolation as well.
I think it helps with the because you have got a number of long shots, and when I say long shots, like long in time shots.
Yeah,
but they all seem to be different. And you have the one in the basketball court where it follows Everett, and the big long one that we just spoken about as well. Her on the switchboard, the woman talking, and the monologue from the other dude, I forget his name, Billy.
Yeah.
And they're all quite lengthy shots. It's quite brave for a movie to do that as well, because you are relying on the audience is going to be invested in this.
Yeah.
It could be easy, and it could be seen as like a trick of, they just did that long shot in that film, and that's what the whole film is about.
Yeah.
But the way they use it, it's not just a one-trick pony. It's again used again, but used sparingly in the correct fashion, in the right place as well.
Yeah. What about you, Dal? How do you feel about them?
Well, all of them. Those shots.
Yeah.
I think they just add to the atmosphere. Because there's no conversations or anything like this. You're zooming through, getting a look at the town as it is, which is literally deserted.
Yeah.
And it just piles on.
Yeah.
That sort of that anxiety building as to what the fuck is going on. Is it a Soviet invasion? Is it an alien one? Is this just people making this shit up as they go along? Who knows?
Yeah. That's true. Yeah, not Billy's winding everyone up.
Yeah.
I mean, the one thing I was going to say with those long shots that I found rather interesting was that compared to like when you watch like a normal film, and they say, I've been trying to do this, I've been trying to do that for hours, and nothing's happened. And you kind of get the character being hysterical. So use, for example, the character of Windows from The Thing.
Yeah.
And Gary goes up and says, Windows, have you got anyone? You're trying to raise the other bases. And he goes, I haven't got shit for 3 hours. I've been trying all day, and nobody's going to see anything in this storm. Nobody's going to do anything. And it's kind of, but then, Gary goes, right, fine, we'll just keep at it, and then just leaves. And then it cuts straight to the other characters in another room having a full-blown discussion about what the thing is. And even though it's still a scene of sort of like action and they're all talking and everything, it still feels safe because you're going from one person to a bunch of people and then back to another person. If, on the other hand, if you played that scene like they did in The Vast of Night, you would have probably sat there for about 5 to 10 minutes just watching Windows, the character, on that radio, just listening to static coming from the storm. And then all of a sudden the bloke appearing behind him. Mm. And, then you'd feel his terror, you'd feel his isolation, you'd feel his paranoia, you'd feel that ickiness of being that one person unable to escape from what you're having to do. And I felt that this time when you were watching Faye on that switchboard, and she's, it's the middle of the night, she picks up that sound, and then she tries to call her friend on the switchboard, and her friend on the switchboard is listening to it and then gets cut off. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it all goes quiet. And so she goes, I'm going to speak to the other person on the switchboard. Speak to the other switchboard. And she speaks for 5 seconds and then just goes off. And the only thing that's constant is she keeps switching back to listening to that noise. And it was just like, I don't know what it is about just that whole thing of just, she's just listening to it being curious, and you're listening to it thinking, I don't like this. Mm-hmm. And everyone she's trying to get hold of, everyone she's trying to get help from, everyone she's trying to talk to is disappearing. And she's becoming more and more isolated. And I was just like, oh God, I'm not sure I like this. The first time I was watching it, I was like, oh God, this is really pressing my buttons.
And then you get the wind one as well. The lady that says she's going to hunker down in the basement, and it's getting really windy here.
Yeah, what is that?
Oh.
Yeah, what is that? And then it kind of goes, and it just goes off again. Yeah, it's just like, oh my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, see that sort of
creepy.
Shit. That sort of shit creeps me the fuck out. You can keep your big monsters, your mask-wielding, scary blokes slashing people up, but give me one person on a phone just breathing for 5 minutes, and I will be like, "That's it, I'm out. Peace."
Well, your mind's painting a picture of it, though, isn't it? That's what it is.
Yeah, guaranteed. That's why Alien is scarier than Aliens, because you don't see anything, and when you do, it's too late. You've already wound yourself up about what you think you've seen. Yeah. Just before we get running on too long, but let's get to the finale, the end. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now, this was the bit I had the problem with, and so I'm going to ask all of you what you thought of it. Go round and just find out. For those of you who have listened to the podcast this far and have thought, I would really like to watch this film, stop right now. We are into major spoilers in the next 5 minutes. And spoilers, here we go. If you're still listening, only got yourself to blame, da-da-da-da. But Everett and Faye and Faye's little tiny sister find themselves in the forest, chasing this sound. And then finally, the film goes, you know what? We're done with ambiguity. Here's a fucking spaceship. Now, for me, that was like, in any other film, I would have accepted it. But in this one, which had done such a good job setting up atmosphere, making you question what it was you were seeing or hearing or what was being told to you, whether or not it was true, all these kind of creepy things going on, to suddenly explicitly drop a spaceship, and not just one spaceship, but what appears to be like, an entire fucking city floating over their heads.
Yeah, there's a mothership and
there's a mothership and big ships else. And small ships and all sorts. I thought that ruined it for me. It didn't kill the film, because overall the film did such a good job, but just to be that explicit towards the end just felt like a misstep. How did you guys feel about it? Dal?
I don't know, really. It's the whole thing of coming back to them and finding that they've disappeared. That they have actually been taken.
But
do you know Signs was like this by M. Night Shyamalan. Ding dong. In that, he did such a great job of when the aliens finally turn up in that film, you don't really see anything apart from like a hand or something, or like
reflection in the TV.
Yeah, and it's all, and even that's sort of like seen through a spoon, so it's distorted. And that when they did the bit where they had the video of the aliens invading the town, that was when that kind of lost it for me.
The children's party bit.
The children's party bit, yeah. I mean, there was a really spooky part of it, but in general, it's like, no, you've gone and splooged it all on screen now. This is not good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you had that with this at the end, personally. It was all held back. There was a lot of, tell but don't see stuff in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you start showing those ships at the end, it kind of, I don't know, it undoes all that hard work that he did.
Yeah, I agree. What about you, Jim? What did you think about it?
It's one of those. I did like seeing the ships because they're just a gorgeous, like 1950s style super saucer.
Yeah.
But it's kind of, for me, on one hand, you have a sense of wonder, but I think it undercuts the final chill of just seeing, the tape recorder left behind.
Yeah.
And they've vanished. And I'm guessing either one or two things happened. Either they were trying to have that counterpoint of kind of, oh, look, visitors from outside, wonderful. Oh, shit, they just spirited them away and they'll never be seen again. That's quite dark.
Yeah.
Or the money men saying, kid, show us the fucking saucer.
Yeah.
We've had people operating switchboards. We've had a goddamn black screen. Show us a fucking saucer.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I think would have been a more effective ending? And you still could have kept it up to a certain point, right? Was have them do the running about bit where they're at the end and then just have them stop and look up and just see their mouths drop and then go black. And just do that. Yeah. And you can even have the noise playing in the background and have that as sort of like, just have that as the play out audio-wise as well.
Yeah. What about you, Elton? What were you going to say?
Okay, well, I have a better ending, but I really enjoyed this ending.
Right.
And my better ending is just improving on this ending, if that makes sense.
Go on.
I like that you have all the running around and then you see the broken trees and they're like, oh no, they're here. Because it is a slow build up to, are we going to see something? And I didn't want to see any creatures or aliens or anything like that because that would not have worked. That would have ruined it. It would have been dumb, and I don't care what they would have looked like. If it was like Communion or if it was like Close Encounters or anything like that, it would have just been compared and contrasted to any other alien abduction movie. And I didn't want that. And I didn't get that. And I appreciate it for that. I appreciate it for just sticking that saucer at the edge of the field and it kind of turning and looking at them. I know it's just lights on there, but it felt like it turned and looked at them.
Yeah.
And there was no sound as well. I really like it. I'm really happy with that ending. But I will give you a chilling addition to that ending, okay?
Go on.
So, we spoke to the lady, didn't we?
Yeah.
And she started do that chanting
Yes.
And she said her kid was doing all the chanting.
Yeah.
Imagine if they were running around that field and then the kid started chanting. And you're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah. 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 I mean,
I would have shit my pants then.
Yeah. Well, exactly. The whole thing of running around with the baby your sister was kind of one of those things. I was thinking, is there a point to that? Or is it just, is it going to turn out the babysitter was whisked away or whatever? I mean, I mean, with the ending, I felt like the bit when you saw just the black silhouette and, as you say, the lights on that ship from a distance, just over the top of the trees.
Yeah.
I was happy with that. I think where my brain kind of switched off was the fact that it suddenly goes full Close Encounters. It, the finest CG that someone can make in Cinema 4D because it's free on trial for this week. It's just like, it's got bolts and things hanging off it, and it's got lights everywhere, and it's about 3 miles across, and then you get that you get the Close Encounters shot of the top of the saucer coming up into sort of like foreground field, sort of thing. And as soon as it did that, I was just like, no, you're showing too much. If you just settle for the saucer being, Arrival style black shape, or this thing that you saw over the trees, I could go with that, because you could still leave the ambiguity of, what was that? Was it a helicopter? Was it the Russians? Was it something else? I'm still down with that. The less you show me, the more scared I am. It's the difference between the space jockey in Alien and the roid rage idiots in fucking Prometheus. It's just like, one is scary because you don't know what you're looking at. Yeah. The other one is just like, oh, fuck off. You don't need to tell me. You've ruined it now. And that was the one thing I was kind of like, oh, you could have just been ambiguous about it.
Even if it just showed you the one that turned slightly, that would have been acceptable. Yeah.
And they turned to look at it. You cut back to the town. Then
everyone empties out of the basketball place,
and then you cut back to where they are. Cut back to where they are. There's the tape recorder. But I have one last thing for you. The end with the tape recorder, yeah? Mm-hmm. It seemed to be in a pile of ash. And given that the thing, the radio station was WOTW, were they actually beamed up, or were they basically nuked by the ship?
Nuked. I think they were vaporized.
Yeah, heat raid. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I
was just, because they got too close. They discovered too much.
I think so.
Because there were them embers on that tree earlier on, weren't there?
Yeah, the tree was hot and burning and steaming, and there was, slightly glowing.
The only thing I would say about that, though, is that there are 2 footprints in the ash. How do you get footprints in the ash? Yeah.
Yeah. At this point, we get to the.
Are we getting the book out?
I think we might get the book out. Black Dog, page 1, line 1, book 1. We haven't had this. Hold on, let me blow the dust off. There you go.
Or the ash.
There you go.
Hold on. I've got an explanation for this.
Go on.
When they got there, the place was already burnt.
Oh, they were already in the ash.
Yes, there was already ash there, remember?
Was there?
Yeah, because all the trees were burnt.
Yeah, but then
remember, he flashed the torch
around. It could be from another... Yeah.
Okay.
Could be, yeah.
Yeah, or we go to John Campion's post on the Facebook group, which is saying, which had 2 pictures of Basil Exposition from Austin Powers going, I suggest you don't worry about this sort of thing. You just enjoy yourself. And then there's a picture of him looking straight at the camera going, and that goes for all of you too. I think maybe that's the sum up, I guess.
Yeah, I think so.
Anyway, right. Has anyone got any last thoughts on this, or shall we wrap it up?
I do have a question about what happened in the movie.
By all means, go for it.
Let's go back to the start. No, not really.
What happened in this movie?
Yeah.
Yeah. Was there aliens, and what was he doing in the basketball court? Yeah. Did we find out the squirrel's name?
When they all jump in the passers-by car, the people that they've already met before, and then they turn back up again.
Yes.
Right? And they're driving along, and he then plays the chanting type thing that lady said.
Yeah.
And then the woman in there seems to be asking questions as if like it's a body snatcher type thing. But then they play the tape and then they start raising their heads upwards. Does that mean that they're under a spell and they're looking to go home? Or what was going on there? What did everyone think of what was going on there? It felt as if they'd acted something with the chant.
Okay, go for it, guys. I've got a theory, but I don't want to just jump in on that. Go on, Jim.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Someone else go.
Okay, Darren.
Yeah.
Oh, blimey, guys! The minute I give you the floor, I don't know, you all go to pieces. No, okay. My thought on that was we'd had the conversation. We'd had the conversation with the old lady first.
Yeah,
and she said, that basically she found that the boy was always saying those words in his sleep. And she didn't, he was born out of wedlock, didn't know where he was coming from, didn't know who the father was, and all this kind of thing. Then, essentially, what happened was the boy was saying those words in his sleep. And as he's saying those in his sleep, she wrote them down. And then when he went to the window, she said them, and it sort of snapped him out of the reverie that he was in.
Yeah.
And then what happened was, one day, he just vanished. Yeah? My thoughts were it's a kind of nod to those, how can we say it, alien impregnation stories. Yeah. Where it's kind of like the Midwich Cuckoos, that kind of thing, where it's like, these people are being harvested effectively, and it's like a cuckoo call.
Right.
It's not, and essentially not a cuckoo call, it's like a duck call. And essentially, these people have all had in their history, in their family history, dating back years and years and years, a unexplained UFO encounter. Whether or not it was an actual something that they call UFOs is neither here nor there. It's just these kids were born to some circumstances somehow involving this mysterious sound in the sky. And so, therefore, what you've got, or people who've been exposed to the ship, even. So, therefore, what you've got is you've got people who have got this thing as a duck call bedded in their head.
Because they had seen the ship earlier on, hadn't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
And once they've got it in them, once they've got that call in them, by, invoking the call, they get sort of numbed, they get nullified, they get sort of stopped for harvesting. That's how I read it.
Right.
That essentially, just like the boy himself going off to walk into the sunset to go and see the spaceship.
Yeah.
It was that dialogue, that kind of chant was what was luring him out, and it was only he didn't go the first time because his grandmother,
yeah,
said it and interrupted him. And I think that's what it is. I think that's one of those kind of they kind of piled another bit of mystery on top of a bit of a mystery, sort of thing of, what's another one of those X-Files things, where someone, it's like I say, a duck call. It's just that kind of, you do the noise, people go into a kind of stunned reverie, and then the aliens just come along and sweep them up.
Yeah,
it's like the sleeper agents.
Yeah, exactly. Like those ones I just activated with my with my
your number station.
With my number station,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, they're on their way now.
Yep. With your own set of special words like pastels, Fruit Loops,
Fruit Loops, Cheerios, sweet peas, num
Spangles.
yeah, orange Frosties. Yeah, chocolate Kit Kat, which don't taste like they used to. By the way, I was going to bring that up, but it's too late now. Moments past. But anyway, we'll maybe discuss that next week. But anyway, so there you go. But that's how I thought it was. What about you, Elton? What was your thought? Did you have a thought on it?
I wasn't too sure. It felt as if something had been activated with it, and they did go into like a sort of trance. I wasn't too sure why though. But now listening to you, yeah, okay, they've already encountered UFO because they've already turned around and said, yeah, we saw something. And
We've been chasing it for hours, all around the valley.
So they've been there. Yeah, they're like the little ducklings, aren't they?
That's right.
And saying that little chant, it just kicked them in, and that was it. I just love the way that their heads slowly tip upwards. You're like, fuck, that's creepy as hell. That's brilliant, though.
Yeah, especially when they don't remember it either. Once they wake up and it's very cool. Again, it's another creepy element to a film full of them.
It gets creepier the more you think about it.
Yeah, like I say, I think just having that sound. If we stop this recording right now and just put that sound in, that's all.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, that's just. I tell you what, it also reminds me of. It reminds me of that fucking thing I told you that story years ago of me listening to the vinyl of War of the Worlds and falling asleep.
Yeah.
And then waking up with the headphones still on my head, but I'd forgotten about the NASA bit at the very end. And my radio player, when it used to play vinyl, when it hits the end of the vinyl, the arm lifts up and it just switches to radio. So I thought when the record had ended, I woken up, but I had forgot. I thought, it's just ended. But what's happened is it hadn't ended, and it went back to the NASA transmissions that sounded like I was listening to the radio. So I thought, the record's ended, and I'm listening to the radio. And there's all these Cape Canaveral and fucking, Florida and Russia and everything going offline at the end. And there's sort of like that, I'm like waking up at like 1 a.m. going, what the fuck is going on? It's on the radio. Oh shit. I'm freaking out.
H.G. Wells claims another victim.
Yeah, exactly. Fucking Wells, you should know. He was born near Alders in Bromley as well.
Yeah.
Well, it's Primark now, but never mind. He took his blue plaque down and everything. Anyway, right. I think we'll wrap it up there then. Overall, a great film. Ladies and gentlemen, Vast of Night. Do check it out. Do take your time with it, though. It's not a wham bam, thank you ma'am kind of movie. But like I say, we've already got we've already got feedback, which we may discuss next week from Anne-Marie. But if anybody else would like to send feedback in on it, do either do it through the Facebook page, which is facebook.com/groups/the Black Dog Podcast. Do it through email, which is feedback@blackdogpodcast.com, or go on to the blackdogpodcast.com page and just click on the contact us and leave a little message through that, and it'll email me that way. So that's that. Thank you very much. All done and dusted. So now, before we move to Pimp's Corner, let's find out. let's find out what we're going to be watching in our first of our indeterminate weeks of horror. Now, rather suitably, the way that things have landed, it's actually Jim to open the ceremony with his pick.
Yes, it is indeed. Now, there are lots of very good horror movies out there on streaming services.
Mm-hmm.
annoyingly, not the two I immediately thought of.
Oh, shit. Right.
But, having sort of, what was it, last year was Hell House, LCC,
Yeah, that's
which
it.
did well on the roast potatoes, and the year before it also did well with Sinister.
Yes.
I thought, I've got to go for the hat trick and something.
Yeah. We've got to get the Elton hat trick.
I've got to go with something scary. So I thought I had a look around. I thought, okay, this is available. I considered thought we want to run the big guns of the horror genre. And I considered a few recent big guns. I thought, not quite. They didn't get under my skin, but this one did. And it got under a lot of other people's skin. But
now I'm worried.
it's one that either works for you or people find it interminable. But it was originally released at Halloween, which is appropriate. And mine pick to open this season will be the original Paranormal Activity.
Oh, you fucker.
Now, what version? Because there's two endings, aren't there?
The one that's on streaming.
Basically. I do have the festival cut kicking around somewhere, which I think has the superior ending. Which if I can find it, I can make that available.
Okay, so that's a strong opener, Jim. Well done. Paranormal Activity. All right, well, I'll open proceedings by saying I've only seen this once, and that was enough. This is one of those films which presses all of my buttons. You don't see shit. When you do see shit, you think you see shit, and it's not the shit you think you see, and it's just like, oh my God. The more that's in my head, the worse things are. So this is me. I might even be getting the roast potatoes out for this one.
I've gone cold.
Darren, have you seen Paranormal Activity?
Yeah.
And what do you think of it?
It's quite effective.
Yeah, has its period. There's a moment. Yep.
It's just, like the ghost and stuff like this. Oh, but we all know it's just a movie.
Or is it? Dun dun dun. Okay.
The three-legged poltergeist is
America. And Elton, dare I ask, have you seen this?
I have seen this, yes.
Oh. Now, here's the question: has Jim done an own goal, or are you already putting the oven on?
What, to stick his head in? What?
No, for the roast potatoes, you fool.
All right.
It scared the shit out of me, and I haven't seen it since. And Amanda turned around to me and went, "What are you scared about?" Oh, no, he scares the shit out of me.
Everything. What's wrong with you? Everything.
It's just doors opening and closing. That's it.
It's the lights coming on in the hallway. It's the sound of something walking up the stairs. Oh,
I've got to go to bed after this across a landing. Fucking hell.
Yeah, I know. Me too. I got to turn all the lights off going upstairs. What are you talking about? I'm the only fucker awake.
Oh man.
Yeah, and let's not forget you're in a brand
next week.
You're in a brand spanky new house. How's your brand spanky new house for weird sounds?
No. Let's stop that right there. Just nip that
So,
in the bud.
you won't be getting any TVs down out of the attic.
Shut up.
Too soon, will you?
Yeah, I think we should also do this on video and have an online Ouija board while we're
please don't. No, I'm not doing anything like that. I don't believe in it, but I think that's what makes me shit my pants even more because you never know.
Yeah, why tempt fate is the way I feel about it.
No Ouija boards. Fuck that noise.
Yeah, you don't want to be proved wrong, but you also don't want to be proved right.
Yeah.
Do you really? Let's be honest. It's no win situation getting a Ouija board out. Either you're lying and it doesn't work, so you feel like a fool, or it is working and you really wish you hadn't started this.
Well, of course they don't work because they're made by Waddingtons. But for fuck's sake.
Yeah, but
You
then
never know.
by the same token, you know, the Bible's available through Waterstones. What's your point?
Oh shit!
You know, anyway, right. So there you go. Paranormal Activity. I think it's safe to say next week could be an interesting week.
Yeah.
I can't.
I think so.
I can't. Do you know? I think this is probably the first of 6 of our indeterminate weeks of horror ever that I've suddenly gone, oh, might be a very, very bad idea. we might be going to Happy Tober, going for something completely different.
I'm going to get my own.
A whole run of Jim Carrey movies.
I'm going to get my own back with Blair Witch 2.
Oh, fuck off! If you can find somewhere that's got it, I'll tell you that'll be funny. Right. Well, there you go. So next week, thanks, Jim. Paranormal Activity, the original. I think everyone's thanking you for that one.
Oh, yes.
Yes, I'm sure they are. Right. So, that's it. While we all consider our own existence and trying to work out how best we can get out of next week's episode, let's move over to Pip's Corner and find out what's going on with Hypnagoria Land. Jim, what's happening over there?
This week I've just wrapped up my Brains in Jars season.
And very good it was
and,
too.
We'll be starting October with a little look at look behind the ghost stories of M.R. James. Particularly looking in particular at the last ghost story he ever wrote, which most people suspect is heavily autobiographical. Delving into that.
Nice.
And there'll be a reading of that as well out on my reading show from the Great Library of Dreams.
Nice.
And hopefully now I've got a bit more time on my hands, all going well. I might get the next Commentary Club edited, which is a Black Abra episode, and hopefully record our next one, which is going to be Jaws. So this weekend, all very busy again.
Star Wars and Jaws in Commentary Club. You are spoiling us, sir. Oh, anyway.
Well, to make up the deficit for Killer Sofa.
Well, yeah, I was going to say this.
Patient Zero, I think it's the worst one we've done this year. Awful.
I refuse to listen to that one, I'll be honest with you. I'm not going to lie. I won't fool you, Jim. I don't mind downloading and listening, but there are limits. I just like.
I think in that one we discussed the film absolutely the least.
Yeah, exactly.
Kinds of stupid tangents rather than talk about the film. But
like
there you go.
Yeah, like the DVD commentary for Big Trouble in Little China, where Kurt Russell and John Carpenter do nothing but talk about their kids' Little League game. Anyway, brilliant. Okie dokie. And what about over with you, Elton, over on Rogue 2 Network?
Me and Andy are talking about cars going round in circles very fast.
Mm-hmm.
Shonky Lab, there'll be a new episode out next week, but I'll talk about that next week.
Mm-hmm.
In the meantime, I would encourage people to head over to Apple Podcasts and give the Black Dog Podcast and Hypnagoria Cast and all the other stuff that we're all involved in 5-star reviews over there, and help us up an imaginary ladder, please.
Yes, because Jim's right at the top of that ladder and the rest of us are feeling quite inadequate.
Oh, don't we know that, yes.
Yeah, no. So anyway,
One of the most bizarre achievement of my life. I'm 2 places behind RuPaul on a chart.
Well, you know what? There are people who would pay money to be there, Jim, and you just made it under sheer force of will. Well, there you go. Darren, are you on a podcast at all this week, mate?
No, just Class A drugs.
Nice. Nice.
So, yeah,
you can find Darren at the Betty Ford Clinic.
You certainly can.
Lovely. Okie dokie. Well, for me, just preempting it, on Thursday I will be recording a podcast with Mr. Plastides about the movie Arrival, which I already mentioned I watched this week. So we'll be talking about that, and also the book it came from, which is The Story of You by Ted Chiang. which I am reading currently as well. So there you go. So, so that I don't know when that's out, but we'll be recording it on Thursday. All things being equal and all fingers being crossed. So there you go. So take listen to that, The Great Derelict over there, on iTunes and podcasts everywhere. And that's it. That's it from us. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Darren. Thank you, Elton.
No problem.
Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for your feedback. Yes, thank you for joining us next week as we all basically shit ourselves for your entertainment watching Paranormal Activity. So, until then, thanks, Jim. Take care. Tatty bye.
Ta-ta.
Bye-bye.
Ta-da.
So happy.
There's a voice that keeps on calling me. Down the road, it's where I'll always be. Every stop I make a new friend. Can't stay for long, just turn around and I'm gone again. Maybe tomorrow I'll want to settle down. Until tomorrow, I'll just keep moving on.
Get out of the booth, Jack.
No, I like it in here.